All right, now that RStudio and R are both downloaded on your computer, you can open up RStudio and you'll see the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment. Um, it is a win like a system of panes where we have something in the top left hand corner of the screen, the top right hand, lower right hand, and lower left hand side. And each one of these plays a very specific role in the overall user experience. Now, with that said, the what we're going to do is just walk through each of these super quickly, starting at the top right hand side. What we have on the top right hand side is a system of windows ranging from history to environment, connections, tutorial, where this is a super helpful way for you to actually get started with R and RStudio. If you're interested in this, follow the link to click the Learn R package, and it will walk you through a lot of the basics of the language. But probably the most important tab is what we call the environment. And what this will do is tell you all of the items or the objects that are currently stored in your RAM and that you're currently referencing to perform data manipulations on. R is an object-oriented programming language, which means we can assign values to specific objects. We can load in data frames and call them by name, and I'll show you examples of these both in this video and in future videos. The lower right-hand side is also a super powerful system of windows. You have a file directory based on the working directory where you find yourself, defined by this text here. Plots that you produce, packages that you've downloaded into R. The help function, which is exactly what it sounds like. Anytime you have struggles with a particular package, you can type in a particular function into the search bar, or you could go to your packages tab and choose the package that you're working in and look for your function there, which this guy you can see has a lot of different options. From here, you also have the console, which can be used as two different things. Either it can be used as a log of functions and commands that you've run previously, or it can be used to perform simple computations. Like you could say 2 plus 2, and it tells you 4. There's also a terminal here, which is a parallel to the Windows terminal or command line, also as it's also known by. But generally, we'll just care about R's console. And what's probably the most important, or arguably one of the first or second most important window here, is the script editor. And the script editor allows us to write code that we can save for future use. And within this, let me just give you a quick tutorial of some of the basics of R. Like I mentioned a second ago, R is an object-oriented programming language, which means I can name specific objects. Like I could say 4 equals 2 plus 2. And I could press Control Return or Command Return, Control Enter, etc. And you notice over here in the environment, I now have a new value for an object called 4, which is also equal to 4. I can directly manipulate objects by calling the objects and saying 4 plus 2. And notice nothing changes up here in the scripts, but down here in the console, it tells me that 4 plus 2 equals 6. You can also see in the console all my previous commands. From here, one of the best things, probably the best thing about R, is the fact it is not a stagnant language. And it is open source, which means developers Statisticians, economists, researchers are constantly coming up with new packages that expand the functionality of R. R is powerful in and of itself, but whenever we install new packages, it allows us to do many new things with the objects that we find ourselves working with. We can download new packages in R using the install.packages commands. However, we can't just say install packages. We need to call something specific, namely the packages that we care about. For example, later in the semester I will show you how to use the fincal set of functions, which comes from the fincal package. So we can install this by saying install.packages fincal, running it by pressing Control Enter, Command Return, whatever system keyboard you're using, and then I could call this package and all of its associated functions by saying library fincal, and I can see all of the functions it has available by going packages, click fincal, and it tells me I have all of these new options loaded into my current system. So for example, if I wanted to compute the eternal rate of return, I go to the package tab, click on the IRR function, it tells me these are the ways I can use it, and notice whenever I start to type IRR, if I press tab, I now have IRR as an option. Now if I had a series of cash flows, we could compute the internal rate of return, but I'll save that for a future video. From here, we have pretty much all of the main things that you really need to know just to get started with R. Is that it's an object-oriented programming language. You can directly manipulate objects. You know how to install packages and load packages. And you have a general tutorial on how to get around the user interface of RStudio. As always, if you have any questions about particular aspects of RStudio or where you might be able to find something or expand its functionality, please reach out and I am happy to walk you through it. Once again, I'm excited that you've chosen to pursue extra credit using R or learning R, and I believe you are not going to be disappointed by it because it is incredibly useful.